are not necessarily those of the Illinois Libertarian Party, the National Libertarian Party, Radio Fubar, Tuiville, LRN.FM, the kindly old neighbor on the corner, some random jerk who just cut me off on I-80, the entire Broadway cast of Hair, Bruce Rauner or Pat Quinn, or the Martian Invaders. So there.
We'd like to invite you and all the members of your household
to gather around and join us now
for a very special episode of
Side Project Live. And what's so special about it?
I'm not wearing any pants.
You know who likes special entertainment like that? My mom!
And welcome once again, friends and neighbors, to another action-packed, side-splitting, laugh-a-minute episode of Side Project Live. Once again, from the lobby of the Side Project Tower in Morris, Illinois, this is Jimmy G.
And from the control center of the world, I am John Galt, here in Lockport, Illinois. Actually, I think I'm more Ragnar, but that's another story.
So, how is your week?
Wow, that's hot.
Your week was
okay. Okay, a little cold, snowy, but not too bad otherwise, you know.
Yeah, we got, I don't, was it, no, it was like the day after the last show we got dumped on. We got like 15 inches of snow here.
Yeah, man, Super Bowl Sunday.
You guys had a little bit more for the north.
Yeah, we got, what is it, 14 or something altogether here, but, you know, some of the piles where the wind was just right, you know, it's 2 feet or more. It's fun to trudge through. Some of my shortwave antenna didn't fare so well in that much snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it was, I don't know how sticky it was right where you were, but here it was just perfect, and there was like a 2-inch radius of snow stuck on all of the wires, and my 80 meter being, well, 40 meters long of wire, it was a lot of weight, so things didn't stay up as well as they should have.
Oh, so it's a wire you got wrapped around the house. It's not like on a tower.
Yeah, well, I wish I had a tower. I used to have a tower. I have a mast, and then the wires drape from there out to the tree.
Here, we've actually got a TV antenna tower out on the back of our house here from the good old-fashioned days when people had antennas, and it goes up. Let me see. The place we're in is it's 2 stories. You got the roof. I'd say it goes about 3.5 stories. You could easily put a decent antenna with some reach up there.
Awesome. What do you mean old-fashioned? That's what I do now. I don't have subscription.
Well, you know, I'm not a Luddite.
Antenna on the roof, man. I get like 50 channels. Yeah, half of them are not in English, but
yeah. Oh gosh, we went to Comcast the other day to trade in our crappy box for a new one, and it's ridiculous the amount of channels you have and how little you watch. I mean, I was telling them it would be nice if we could just select channels we watch and pay for that, but
yeah, you can't do like you can do a la carte, but they want $1 billion per channel.
Well, it's because they wrap up all the channels in like these big package deals. I mean, you can't just get Nickelodeon. You got to buy their package with VH1, MTV.
You have to buy everything. Everything that company owns, you have to buy it. So.
All
right, let me see if I can do this. It's a picture from the camera, and it's huge, but here I can show it to you. Check this out.
Okay.
So these are the wires out in the back of the house.
Holy cow!
Look like a bunch of fire hoses. I never saw such a thing. The snow packed on them just perfectly. And I have no idea what all that weighed altogether. A few things failed.
Wow. Snow, rain drips right off. Snow weighs a heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Going off on conspiracy theorists again. I saw this one picture from a conspiracy theorist that had a picture she took of a snowflake, and it looked like a picturesque snowflake. And she was like,
I don't ever remember snowflakes looking like this when I was a kid. Must be the government doing something. I'm like, oh, freaking Lord. When I was young, just look at the sleeve of your coat.
That's
you know?
awesome. All right, looks like Lek is in, and we have some audio from him.
Hey, how you doing there, bud? Hello.
We had some sound a second ago. Hello. Yeah, I mean, we're getting sound from you, Lek, but what's going on?
He was on his cell phone. He was having some problems with his PC. Hello, Lek, you there? We'll let him butt in. Today's topic was actually his idea, and it's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Something needs to be addressed. There we go. Hey, Lek.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is.
All right. There we go. Okay. So, how are you, Lek? And he's gone. Lek joined us, and now he's gone. South Park reference for everyone there. The topic we wanted to bring up today was about student loans and the scam that they are. I'm going to send Lek another invite here. And do two things at once here. There we go. I was actually reading something recently that said humans did not evolve to do more than one thing at a time.
Nah.
My mother-in-law hasn't bought that yet. Here, I just saw this literally moments before we went on air. Share this if I can. There we go. For those of you who can't see this that are listening, there's a guy standing at a desk at his college financial department that says, "Instead of repaying my student loan, I'm returning my diploma. It didn't work."
Uh-huh.
Gotta love it. Okay. So
Yeah, well, it's a great subject. I hope Lek can get his stuff sorted out because I wanted to. I wouldn't mind talking about that. I had.
Yeah, he's saying he's got all sorts of facts and figures compiled, which.
That's fantastic.
I mean, it is really a scam, and it really boils back down to the fact that everybody thinks government is a bottomless purse. And if you get all of these student loans federally guaranteed that you can't file bankruptcy on, well, the people that are going to be the ultimate recipients of the money, the institutions of higher learning, they're going to be able to jack the prices up, and they don't care because they're not the one that has to pay it back. And, the government, bottomless pit. I mean, they just keep the magical goodies creator, just keep writing the checks, charging the card, and that's what they do. I mean, student loans are we're back. Hey there. So, what was it you had for us today, Lek?
Well, one topic, even though I've been a libertarian over 20 years now, one topic that I only really became to fully understand during the last election campaign was the issue of federal student loans. And that's one of those many things in which the government is so cleverly deceptive, where so many people, even now a good number of conservatives, will concede to the government on this issue. Looking at it from the standpoint that it helps more people go to college. Nothing from the government comes without strings attached, as the three of us well know. And so, one thing that I've just wanted that I've been wanting to discuss for quite some time is the way that the federal student loan program has hurt all college students, and I mean, well, except for the few who are fortunate enough to go on a full scholarship. And if you pay for your college, whether out of pocket or through a loan, you're getting screwed. With any program, government or not, you have to. The best way to figure out whether it's a good program or not is to examine who benefits. And when you look at federal student loan program, it's one thing that's obvious is that the only people who benefit are the college administrators.
I saw a thing a few years ago. I can't remember what show it was, but it was like 2020 or something, and they were going to different college campuses and they were showing some of these programs and amenities that these colleges are building, and they're charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for these kids to go to these schools, and then it puts this crushing debt on them that they can't pay back, and a lot of the times kids are getting these jobs that are like, or taking these classes that are like liberal arts or whatever, and you can't make money to pay your loans back on that. And I went to college for broadcasting, which was stupid, but for computers, I would have been able to pay my loan back a lot faster. When I left my job in radio, I was making $7.75 an hour, getting 90 minutes a week if I was lucky.
Right, and the thing is, like before, it's like one thing that government thinkers like Harry Brown and Walter Williams and others often say, to figure out how life would be without a certain program before the program started. And so I think you look back for growing up, college, I mean, my parents are both 71 now, to put that in perspective, but in their day, college was a significant expense, but it was not an overwhelming expense. I mean, not a huge percentage of people went to college, but what they would do is they would look at what benefits they would get from going to college, compare that to what the cost would be, and then figure it out from there. And what generally, if assuming they didn't come from a rich family, they did one of two things: either the student would get a full-time job during a week or so during the spring and fall semesters, and pay his or her way as he or she went along. And the other thing that some students did was they would maybe work a full-time job for after high school, save up enough to go to college, and then just pay, not have a job while in college. And you were going to graduate debt-free and use your the degree to the government or anybody else. And the way it is now, because it's so easy to get these loans, a lot of students who probably would be better off going to a vocational school, they just figure that I'm supposed to go to college, so they get a student loan, and because now the colleges are guaranteed to get students they weren't guaranteed to get before. It means they no longer have to keep the rates competitive. So obviously, when the supply of something stays relatively the same as colleges have, since the advent of federal student.
Okay.
And you have
some breakup on your side there. We can barely hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Are you? Okay.
I'm speaking directly into the phone.
He's all R2-D2, man.
Yeah, you're sounding very robotic. Domo arigato.
Yeah. R2-D2, you malfunctioning little twerp. So how about now? Is this any better?
Okay, let's go for it again. Let's see what we got.
Okay. Well, anyway, so the thing is, before federal student loans, colleges are going to college at the drop of a hat without even thinking about it, including a lot of kids who don't belong there. Basically what you have is the demand for a college education has gone way up without the supply going way up, so that's obviously going to skyrocket the price. And so and then what happens is a lot of these kids, who shouldn't go to college, that they fail to graduate, and maybe they could have gone to a vocational school and gotten training for a good career, but instead, they end up strapped in debt and without a degree and without a lot of, job prospects. And then even the students who do go and who graduate and get good jobs, they sometimes pay, that they're paying for years and years after, and even when they get good jobs, as their students, like I've got an actress friend whose husband is about to graduate for this semester from medical school, and it's even being a medical doctor, it's going to take him years to pay that loan back. Mm-hmm. So and all the while the college administrators are laughing all the way to the bank. So it's just another example of the way that big government helps the elite and hurts the little guy. And of course the problem is that us libertarians are automatically put into the role of the heavy right off the bat. And we say, I think, well, we only want the rich to be able to go to college. Of course, that's not the case. And it wasn't that.
Okay, you're breaking up again. I'm gonna expand on something here. You were talking about, you mentioned about how it's going to take doctors a long time to pay off the loans and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
I think with people like doctors, it's understandable to have a larger student loan debt because, let's face it, that's something you need to really be smart and really need to be trained intensively on, and so that's understandable, but does it necessarily need to be as high as it currently is?
Of course not.
I think that's the question we need to ask about that. But most other people don't really need to go to college. I think more people would benefit from going to a vocational school.
Yes.
To learn something like I don't know, HVAC or even computer programming. And going on the programming thing, one thing that's got the educational institutions scared. In fact, many states are actually passing laws against this because of the education lobby, is that you got online courses now, free. You got edX, and then you got Coursera, which through Coursera right now I'm taking a program called Programming for Everyone, and then I think on Monday through Coursera I'm taking a course on I'm going to start taking a course about algebra, and it's all free and get certificates for it.
Wow. And the other thing to think about too is loans. The nature of modern loaning of money, these days, is about collecting interest from you forever. Amortization schedules on these loans. Look, you get a mortgage today, you'll pay 3 times the asking price of that house by the time you've paid the mortgage if you pay it on their schedule. And a student loan is like that, and often the student loan is last. We try to pay our car, we try to pay our mortgage, we try to keep the phone bill going, but the student loan, let that go. When I have the money, then I'll take care of it. And the next thing you know, you've been carrying this debt for 42 years.
Yeah.
And they're garnishing your wages, and it makes it hard for you to live. It took me 20 years to pay off my student loan, and I could basically not afford it. And so I was living for the longest time with a wage garnishment with like $200 taken from my paycheck. Try raising a family of 5, on like $800 every 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, and I mean even from just going from 2003 until 2013, college tuition went up 79.5%. I mean it increased nearly twice as much as medical care in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And nearly 3 times as much as food and beverages. About 3.5 times as much as housing. So
Lek, how did we get here? We had the GI Bill after World War II, which put almost all veterans into school. There was nobody else there. And you had low-interest loans and stuff that started in the 1960s, and you had these movements to get more women and minorities and stuff in college, and so we're throwing money at universities. So how did this break?
And you touched on a lot of it there, Eric. And then Bush Sr. Signed a bill in 1992, his last full year in office, with dark loan program as part of the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act. And so, all those factors, they've dramatically increased the demand for, for college education without increasing the supply, which of course is going to, drive costs up. And, the most tragic part about this is that, the government is further enslaving all these people. So think about how many people, because of federally in debt, not to a bank, which you back up, but to their own government. And yet another way that the government, is trying to make themselves look like the nice guy, but what they're doing is just making people all the more independent and under their control.
And it's and this whole topic is really timely right now because of something our president recently said, where he wants to make community college free. And did you hear him pay for it? Taxing college savings.
Well, yeah, and he was here in Indianapolis yesterday speaking at Ivy Tech, about that very subject. And of course, I have no idea where he thinks we're going to get the money to do this with an $18 trillion debt, but that's another story for another episode.
Yeah, that just happened in Chicago too, didn't the mayor do that? That community colleges or whatever it was exactly is free.
I thought it was daycare. I thought he made it was daycare or full day kindergarten or something. He did something. I mean, he's not the brightest tool in the shed, the sharpest tool in the shed. Mixing metaphors there.
There he is. He knows how to get reelected.
Severed head's horse in your bed. Severed head's horse head. Oh, dear Lord, I'm losing it today. I got an echo in my headphones. I'm going to blame it on that. So, but yeah, I mean, the president plans on paying for the free community college by taxing college savings. Now, I thought the whole purpose of college savings was to save so you could go to college instead of taking that money to pay for a gigantic and put it in a gigantic pool for everyone.
We're going to steal from your college savings to help you pay for college.
Yeah. Everybody think about that for a second. I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense.
It was the budget surplus. We're $13 trillion in debt, but we have a budget surplus. No, if you're that much in debt, you don't have any surplus. But that's what they did. All of that so-called surplus was in Social Security, which they took only a portion of it to help bail out Social Security. It's insane.
Yeah. Because they don't realize there is a difference between having a balanced budget and having debt. If you have a credit card with $20,000 on it, but you make the minimum payment every month, your budget is balanced, but you still got a crap load of debt, and that's the situation we're in. And people can't have a balanced budget with debt, and they're not the same.
Yeah, that was the part of the fallacy over Democrats, hailing Clinton over having a budget surplus back in the late 90s for I guess 2 or 3 years, and so yeah, it's just yet another example of how easily Americans fall for slick rhetoric like that.
What I find interesting about some of these things is you express to someone some libertarian ideas, right? And you say, well, look, I'm going to do this and do that. I want to get rid of this government-run tollway and privatize it, and here's why. And, oh, that's interesting. And so they respond at least somewhat well to most of those ideas. As soon as you mention education, whether it's elementary school or college or whatever, they just lose their mind. How dare you take the government away from that? And I'm just beside myself trying to understand that.
Well, Harry Brown said it best. He said, why do we need government involved in education? Because education is important? Well, if education is important, you ought to want to keep the government out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest obstacles that we have to overcome is so many people have this idea that if something is important, then government must be the one to do it. And so one of my comebacks these days when people have that attitude is I say, well, do you want the same people who work at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, or anything else that's important?
Okay, we missed what you said there. You broke up again.
Oh, what I was saying is that people have been conditioned to believe that anything that's important must be done by the government. So when I run into people like that, one of the things I say to combat that nonsense is that do you want the same people who work at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to be involved with your health care?
Mm-hmm. I think a couple of things I want to bring up here. One thing, and it kind of fits in when they say that they don't want the government in it. That's got an interesting take on stuff like that when people say like the government needs to be involved or there ought to be a law. He brings up the First Amendment and says the very first part of the First Amendment, the very first phrase says, Congress shall make no law. And he brings that up all the time. He doesn't even bring up the rest of the amendment, just Congress shall make no law, which I think is awesome. But the other issue is something I actually learned in my broadcasting class. The problem with government school is they have to cater to everybody, and therefore you have people at different levels of achievement and sitting in the same class. You have fragmented everywhere. They're trying to fit everybody into a box. They're trying to do a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
One of the first things
I shop at Dollar General instead of Macy's. That's just why can't education be that way?
Exactly. One of the first things I learned in broadcasting class was that if you're special, if you try to be special to everyone, you're special to no one. And that's what government is doing with education. They're trying to be special to everyone, and therefore everybody's being dragged down. Everybody's being mediocre. And that's what the issue is. I mean, and you got certain parents fighting for they want this in, they want that in. If everybody had their choice of going to schools, and I'm not even talking private school, I'm even talking a voucher system, which even be better than what we got now. If they could take their money with the student and choose where they want to go, we wouldn't have all of these problems. You're upset that prayer isn't allowed in school? Well, hey, take your money, go to a private school that allows prayer. Boom, problem solved.
Yeah, well, exactly, and it's another example of how government creates everybody's money being forcibly taken, and then government deciding what to do with that money. Obviously, you have people fighting over what's being done with the taxes they were supposed to pay, and it creates all kinds of unnecessary division. And it's like I remember I got a pretty loud ovation at the LP convention in 2001 when I mentioned that had it not been for government schools, such as school prayer and and furthermore, you're right that the one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. I mean, and I know that having discovered as an adult that I have Asperger's syndrome and that I needed a different type of teaching than most of my peers did, and I didn't get was very, very detrimental to me when I was going to school. And so I think in a class you have 25 different brain types, and what if education were treated like food? I mean, think about it. You go to a supermarket, you have apples from Washington or Michigan, you have strawberries grown probably some farm locally, you have bananas that were grown in Costa Rica, oranges that were grown in Florida, and yet without the government's help, they all made it to your local supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody has an incentive, farmers, distributors, grocers, and the consumers all have an incentive, for that system to work. And so I mean, it requires a lot of voluntary cooperation and people doing things that other people want and value. And government only involves one thing, which is force.
Mm-hmm.
And so that alone goes along with explaining why.
Sound like techno music there. You're breaking up pretty bad.
We have Lex Zorn at dubstep this morning. Look,
Well, hopefully.
don't understand, why subsidies are broken, why subsidies don't work. A simple example, if you remember going back 10 years now, the digital converter box, when the analog TV was going away, the digital TV was coming along, and then you could sign up for a coupon, and all you had to qualify for, just ask. Log in, ask for the coupon. Do you have an address? Great, we'll send you up to 2. Would you like 2? Sure, here you go. So they send you this $40 coupon. The problem is the retail price of those boxes, when they're made in the volume that they were made then, the cost of manufacturing was like $1, and it cost maybe $1 to deliver each one, a truckload of those things. What's the cost of distribution of it? It's chump change. Add in some profit margin and paying the person to put them on the shelf and all that stuff. Estimated retail price of those things should have been about $23, but they're closer to $60 because there's this $40 coupon. And when you can go into the store and buy this product and get through the register and owing them, $10 or less for this device, there's no incentive to the retailer to offer any price competition. Why should Walmart fight with Target to make the price lower when neither of them is going to make a penny on it anyway? Just keep the price high. The government will cover the rest of it, and so we end up paying more than we should have for a stupid little box that many of us have thrown away a few years ago.
The bottomless purse of government.
It works for education. If you give someone a heaping pile of money to pay for this school, why should the school keep the price low to encourage you to come there versus some other school?
Right.
We had Claire Ball on last week. She is running for a member of the board of the College of DuPage, and there's a whole heap of corruption over there. And I blame it directly on the fact that there's government involved in it. The board members were found having $10,000-$20,000 parties with open bars. They voted to give and by the way I understand, they originally voted to give the outgoing corrupt head of the board like a $750,000 severance package, and they passed it in one of the most corrupt ways. They didn't let people know about it, and when people found out about it, they had a special session. They voted on it again, and they let the guy keep his severance package. And that's just the problem. Claire Ball is her campaign manager is Brian Lambrecht, friend of the show, and oh, by the way, speaking of friends of the show, I forgot to read some stuff at the beginning of the show, as I'm always want to do. You can contact us at thesideproject2@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @thesideproject2. You can use the hashtag TSPLive. Our Google Voice number is 815-200-4912. We have the Google Chat or the Google Q&A open, and I'm welcoming anybody who is listening to the show who came over from the No Quarter podcast. That is a classic video arcade game podcast. It's a fun show. If you're into the whole 80s arcade scene, I suggest you listen to it. They're good people over there. So there we go. But back on track. Yeah, Brian Lambrecht, friend of the show, is her campaign manager, and she's the only libertarian running. And surprise, surprise, the traditional parties are only endorsing their people. They did get Brian and Claire did get a warm welcome, according to what I read this morning on their Facebook page. A warm welcome from some Tea Party groups, some Republican groups, and when they tried to get involved in some events held by the Democrats who are running for that position, they flat out rejected her. Who's the true people of tolerance? Now,
Right.
It's not the Republicans, but it's certainly not the Democrats. But that's a side note. But I guess the question comes down to, is actually getting libertarians on these boards and elected going to be the thing, or just to avoid the system? The problem is that there's a lot of people that just want to avoid the system, live off the grid, that sort of thing. But and while it's helping you, I think that's a pretty selfish thing to do, because the rest of us need some help too, and we need these people to take the gun in the room, which is government, wrestle it from the hands of the people that are holding it, and use that gun for good, so to speak, as to use an analogy. We're not going to correct the system, and a person here and there just getting off the grid and getting out of the system, in my opinion, isn't going to help. Is the system corrupt? Sure, it is. It is, I would say, from the ground up. I'd say that the Constitution doesn't hold any authority anymore. But we can't just lay down and give up, and departing from the way we do things, to me, is just giving up. We need people to get involved, get on these school boards, tell the government, we're not going to take this, and we need to crack the system instead of getting rid of it, I think. But
yeah, anything that we can do to promote liberty is good. I mean, into office is one of them, provided that they act like libertarians once they get there.
Right.
Which is a big if. We don't know if they will or not, but obviously the effort must be made.
We don't want any more Bob Barrs in there.
Right, yeah, and I think that's one thing that's the lesson of 08, which thankfully the party did learn very quickly. But the lesson of 08 is that saying you're a libertarian doesn't make you a libertarian.
No.
I mean,
I hold up Rand Paul.
Yeah, if you want to go more extreme, Timothy McVeigh said he was a libertarian. Even though
people say lots of
violated rule number 1 of being libertarian, violated rule number 1 of being a libertarian, which is that you shall not ever harm an innocent person.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there disqualifies him. And the government for killing innocent people, and he responded by killing innocent people. So obviously he has no credibility on that issue. But yeah, Rand Paul is another one. I mean, I have reached the point now, and just this week I went back to some of our past episodes over the last few years, and Rand Paul was mentioned in quite a few of them, and I was saying I was going to take a wait and see approach, and I've reached the point now where if I were to vote for Rand Paul at this point, he would have to win my support back, because I have not seen enough from him to convince me that he would run anything close to a libertarian type presidency.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things we need to ask, and trying to bring this back around to the whole thing about student loans and education, is that how can we make sure we get people in that that see the corruption, that want to actually fix the system. At this point, I'm for anybody that wants to fix the educational system. I don't care if an R, an L, or a D next to your name. If you're running for a school board, if you're campaigning on fixing the corruption and you have a track record of doing such, then I think you should get the vote. I prefer the libertarians.
Oh yeah.
Just because you have an L next to your name doesn't mean you are one. Wayne Allen Root. But
yeah.
There you go. So
that's what I do. I want the candidate that says no. That's all. There's people that I know, they're libertarians that have held some offices, library board, and they're always referred to as the person that always says no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
It's funny. In Crest Hill on Route 53, just north of where Theodore Street comes in, there was a bar there. I think they're closed. They've been for several years, but right before they closed, they had on their letterboard sign up front said Judy Biggert, the party of no, and Judy Biggert, of course, is a Republican. And I drive by it and I'm thinking, we need more people in government that say no. They're posting it up there like an insult.
Yeah, except that she almost never said no, so whatever. But
exactly.
Yeah,
she said no to what the Democrats wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes she is from Illinois. Just because you're a Republican in Illinois doesn't mean you're conservative.
Right, and another example, Eric. Ron Paul's nickname for a time was Dr. No.
Right.
Right. And yeah, that's the main thing. Or Gary Johnson, he's known as Governor Veto.
Yeah, well, it's amazing to me that we had a thing here. It was an actual issue for a while here in the city whether or not the city was going to go around and trim the trees in the parkway, because apparently some people that couldn't or wouldn't go out and do it themselves, they expected the city to take care of that, and they actually entertained the idea. I can't believe that, you know, my alderman didn't just go, no.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so you know, yeah, that's a good way to put it, Eric. And yeah, obviously it's mainly the libertarians who are going to do that. I mean, there's an occasional Ron Paul. We have a office to judge by, but obviously.
You cut out again.
Chances are you're more interested in principle. Well, while we do not have a lot of examples of libertarian office to judge by, chances are if you run as a libertarian in the first place, it means you're a pretty principled person, because if you were just some sleaze who wanted to get elected, you'd be running, you know, as a Democrat or a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And
one of the problems we're running into here, and back, you know, trying to bring this back around more to the school thing. Let's say we pay fully in cash for, you know, for our education. Are we going to get a discount off of their prices? There are many doctors that are not taking government insurance or insurance in general, and
Not
people
anymore.
that pay cash are getting huge discounts on their services, which I think is awesome. But
That's an interesting
under
thing.
Obamacare,
There were, but not anymore, because it's against the law to not have insurance now. So those doctors are few and far between. But it was interesting how much money a doctor's office can save by not processing insurance and keeping all those records and hiring people just to handle your paperwork and all that.
There's two or three people they don't have to hire there.
Yeah, exactly, and rent storage buildings for boxes and boxes of paperwork. You know what I'll do? I'll set your broken elbow for you for $24. It's pretty remarkable, but now it's against the law.
And another thing on
yeah,
like I was saying earlier, you got these online places giving you free courses. Stanford University, you can access pretty much most of their courses online for free. I mentioned edX and Coursera. I believe it was Minnesota a year or so ago was actually going to pass a law making it illegal to use those services because they're free. I mean, they're getting heavily influenced by the education lobby.
Yeah, you know, and that's that's one of the biggest problems. Is I think, you know, and I don't want to get too much off subject, but sometimes, you know, a lobby becomes so powerful that, you know, it really, like, for example, you look at why is it that 58% of the people in this country now support marijuana legalization, and only one U.S. senator is on record as supporting it? You know, and I think that'll change eventually, but, you know, right now there's so many pharmaceutical companies that very much want to keep marijuana illegal, and who are, you know, buying off these politicians. So,
well, I don't know so much about that, but one thing I do know is listening to the news recently, Colorado is making so much money on legal recreational marijuana that they're considering actually sending checks to the residents.
Wow. And, you know, and of course, the thing is, it'll be interesting to see what happens when more states start legalizing, which would make Colorado less of a, you know, haven for people who want to go there to get their marijuana legally. But, you know, we'll see.
I'm just looking up here on the Coursera thing, Minnesota. It looks to me, just from a cursory glance, that they did actually outlaw. Or no, I'm sorry. It was, I guess it was an older law in Minnesota that prohibited people from taking online courses, and Minnesota just decided to stop enforcing the law. So, 2012. So, but they were looking into it, and you know, what good does that do? I mean, it doesn't help the people. It helps the people that have the money.
Right. And you know, one thing about medical insurance thing, you know, one thing about that, besides the fewer people you'd have to hire, I mean, it means that doctors themselves now will have far more time on their hands to treat patients.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, that's going to drive costs down as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and you know, another thing that Harry Brown pointed out is that, you know, and this is another reason why that you shouldn't take a one-size-fits-all approach. Insurance companies got so, you know, toxic is because government started mandating that government, you know, the government started mandating that insurance companies cover more and more things, and so that this is where you should take, you know, a one-size. I mean, we shouldn't take a one-size approach because every you're going to have 50 different things that they're going to want covered. So when you force everybody to have covered, then, you know.
Okay, you were breaking up there quite a bit, but the gist of it is that you can't enforce a one-size-fits-all solution, because one-size-fits-all is not a solution unless you're buying an ugly dress.
Right. That's a good way to put it, Jim. And you know, it's one of those things. You know, we have more. I mean, what if we had the choice in health have at our grocery store? And that's one of the, you know, one of the most ironic things. Democrats, become abortion, because liberal policies have taken away our choice on so much.
You know, I probably shouldn't say. It too loud. Someone will get the right idea. But look at some of the things we have. It helps the law to buy your health outside of the state you live in. We have, you know, companies like Lyft or Uber, you know, and they're coming under fire in big cities. You have, was it Boston? There was an app that you can use to tell people that you're leaving. The parking space will be available. Outlaw that. I'm waiting for college. Making it illegal to go to school outside of your state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so much for, you know, Phoenix or New Hampshire, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, here's a quote from, you know, what's Harry Brown. Here's one that really says it all. Hello?
Okay, that's better.
Okay. Here's a quote from Harry Brown that sums it up. Almost every state has laws that cover certain features in every medical policy. These add-ons include such things as psychiatric, birth services, whitening, abortion, toupees, chiropractic service, cosmetic surgery, alcohol and drug rehabilitation, sex therapy, acupuncture, and marriage counseling. The add-ons cost your policy and the state, even if you want it. So it's not surprising that many people feel health insurance is too expensive and choose to go without it.
Okay, you broke up quite a bit during that. Could you send me a link to that quote?
Yeah, of course. No problem. Let's see here.
There's a number of these things that demonstrate the prices of higher education versus other things compared to food and housing and whatnot, and it's just amazing how much higher it is. There's this little graphic here, how expensive college is compared to inflation.
I'm looking at this chart you put up, and this is astounding. Now, this is adjusted for inflation, I'm assuming. I see it's coming from a political site, or a politician site.
Yeah,
but, the numbers, you can always check the numbers out.
Center for Education Statistics, whatever that.
Oh, right there. I see.
Numbers. Yeah. But compared to inflation, so it doesn't matter if the dollars are adjusted for inflation or not. It's a comparison of the rate of inflation, what the price would be versus what it really is.
You know what? To put this in another perspective, you see that actual cost there for 2012, $17,474. That is almost exactly half of what I made that year. Think about that for a second. That's a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's people need to start putting this this money into perspective like that. If it shouldn't be more than a huge percent. It shouldn't be a huge percentage of your income. They say that housing shouldn't be more than 20% of your income. But today most people have to get 2 jobs. They have their spouse work to be able to afford a house.
Yeah.
That's why I always say family. Sorry. Okay, that's what I was saying. Was that the most family-friendly thing government can do if they're interested in family values is income. So you won't have so many families. Both parents have to work.
I'm sorry, you broke up there. The most important. What was that about family values again?
The most important thing government can do to promote family values is a policy, so that you don't have so many families. Both parents have to work.
Yeah, you broke up pretty bad there again.
Yeah, the feedback loop. Mute yourself.
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm All right, so anyway, we only got a couple of minutes left until the show's over. It's been another interesting show here on Tech Problems Live. Once again, anyone who came over from the No Quarter podcast, thanks for listening. Hope you found something worth listening to. We apologize for the technical issues.
Or laughing at.
What was that?
Or something worth laughing at.
Yeah, exactly. So you can hear our show normally on. You can hear our show live on Radio Fubar every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central. And you can also hear us on LRN.FM. We're in their podcast loop. Couldn't tell you what time we're on because the podcasts are all of different lengths except for ours. Ours is a strict hour every week. We're on Tuiville. Just go to tuiville.com. That's TOUHYVILLE.com every Sunday at noon for a repeat of the previous day's show. You can listen to all of our back episodes on Stitcher. And now we're also in iTunes Store. You can listen to all of our back episodes there as well. And we are now also, if you have the TuneIn app on your smartphone, you can listen to us there. And that's just a new thing. So, hey, you can get us many different places. Once again, you can email us at thesideproject2@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @thesideproject2. Our Twitter hashtag is TSP Live. Our Google Voice number, if you want to leave us a voice message, please, is 815-200-4912. We don't get very many messages on that, and some days I wonder why we have it up, why we still have that up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's free. So, well, it doesn't do any good now, but we did have the Google Q&A app open, and there you go. So once again, I'd like to thank Eric Ferguson for joining us, and Lex Zorn for chiming in. And hope you learned something on today's show. And with that, we will see you all again. Yeah, learn from our tech mistakes. Okay, so there you go. And we'll talk to you all next week.
All right.